What is this shit? Let's see if anybody comes in, I guess. So, man, I'm just gonna explain this peace bond, I guess. Wait for a few more people to come in. I'm just hanging out in the bathroom. My hands are shaking. I'm actually just holding the phone with my left hand, so it kind of fucking sucks, anyways. Yeah, I got it. Pretty sure I chucked it in my pocket. Oh, what the fuck did I do? Oh, it's right there. Oh. It's weird. I was looking at some of the paperwork for this peace bond, and like the first page at the top, it says 2 of 3, like pages, and the second page says 3 of 4, and the last page says 3 of 4, or 4 of 4 rather. And thanks, dude. And the first page to this packet, this 3-page packet that I have here, is dated 12/17/2024 at 10:22, so like 2 days ago or whatever. And then the other 2 pages are dated 12/16/2024 at 10:04 in the morning. So that's a bit strange to me that I have 2 different documents here, because this one is 2 of 3, so that means I'm missing 2 pages from this one, and this one's 3 of 4, and I have 4 of 4 of this one, so I'm missing 2 pages from this one as well. So that's a bit weird to me. So yeah, so I guess this peace bond, what it is Stephen Howitt. He owned a couple businesses here in Yarmouth as well as some apartments. And so one of the buildings that he owned was the old Odeon Theater, which was the old movie theaters that was like they stopped using that in like the 80s, 90s. Like I'm going to be 32 in January, and I have never been alive to go to that movie theater. My mom went to that place, but I never did. And in the past, he did some renovations in it, and it like was gonna fall down. Like the building was gonna fall down, and he had to pay, or the town was trying to get him to pay like $700,000 or something like that, um, to demolish the building, but he never did that, and he left it on the town's hook for that, I guess. But that's neither here nor there. But the comment was that there's a new arcade opening up in Yarmouth, and it's in a location that his comic book store used to be at, and his comic book store was Mythic Games and Hobbies. Um, and the individual was like, if it's him involved, I don't want anything to do with it, yada, yada, yada. And they abbreviated his name as SH. And then there was other people in the comment section that were like, "Oh, who's SH? Who's SH?" So they didn't know who he was. And I know him because I worked for him in the past, and so I'll be completely transparent. When I was incarcerated, one of my charges was to do with him. So I did 2 provincial trials. One was for an unrelated matter to Stephen, and then there was Stephen's matter that came after the fact. And that was because he had accused me of breaking and entering into his business and stealing some stuff. So how that went over was I ended up going to my second trial, which was his trial. And when we went in, the Crown Attorney, we kind of had some talks, and it wasn't going to add anything to my sentence. I was still going to be released there on the spot. So I just didn't want to deal with it. So I just pled out to it and didn't have to do the whole like day of trial. Um, so that's my interaction with Stephen Howitt. Um, I haven't spoken to this guy in, it's coming up on 7 years now. Um, and Brandon, good to see you actually. Yeah, I'm just noticing that. Um, so it's been about 7 years since I've even talked to this guy, and uh, his girlfriend, I've, hey Mitchell, how are you? Um, Witten, so I've been calling her Witnet all day because it's spelled like, I'll try and show it to you. I don't know how well it'll come on over camera, but his Steven's spelling is like the worst I've ever seen in my life. And it literally looks like Whitney Clark. But this Whitney Clark person I've never spoken to in my life. I don't even know what she looks like. I didn't even know that they were together until today. I've never even heard her name until this order, this whatever. Um, and in this order, it says, at the bottom it says, the information therefore prays that the defendant be ordered to enter in a recognizance peace bond with or without sureties. So a surety is like, if for anybody that's American or might not know, a surety is like, so if I'm trying to get out on bond and there's going to be someone that like is like, oh, I'll make sure he doesn't do this stuff, and if he does, I'll be liable for it, and I'm going to put up like $1,000 for him. Um, so to keep the peace and be of good behavior for any period not to exceed 12 months and comply with any other reasonable condition prescribed in the recognizance as the court considers desirable for securing the good conduct of the defendant, or commit the defendant to prison for a term not exceeding 12 months if the defendant fails or refuses to enter in the recognizance. I can't say that word right now. Pursuant to Section 810 of the Criminal Code. So in the information, what it says, people, is he watching? If so, hi? Oh, he might be. Maybe Steve is watching. I kind of hope so. And it says in Appendix A, it says, please ensure that you provide specific details regarding the events, such as who did what, when they did it, and where they did it, right? So in Appendix A, I'll try and show the camera again here. It has uttering, I uttered the words online harassment and stating lies. So when I read that first statement, if I was to make an information like this on myself, I would say, Mr. Perry, on this day, in this manner, at this time, did in fact utter threats to me by ways of saying my name online and stating lies. Apparently, you know what? He got me there. His first name is Charles. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until today. Or actually, I did, but I kind of forgot. I hadn't talked with this guy in forever. But either way, so if we go down to the next section, it states that that my actions of stating the words online threat. So I said the words. See, I uttered the word, so that means I said it, right? Online threats and stating lies, because I said those words. I know, and I know it's backwards for you guys. I'm sorry about that. But and his friggin' handwriting is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's worse than Shelley Weldon Rose's. It says he feels that his family will be threatened. So he's like Voldemort. Like the utterance of his name. You can't even say the guy's name without a peace bond showing up at your door. He's like the Voldemort of peace bonds. How is this possible? And then continuing here. Sorry. It says his name and it asks, what's the relationship between the defendant? He says, he stole stuff from me and went to jail. Oh man, be careful though. Voldemort knows no boundaries. That guy just shows up. Like he grew in a friggin' pot. He was on the back of some guy's head. He knows what's up. Um, so yeah, instead of saying, "Oh, he was employed by me and this happened," he just states that. Now, it says, "What was the date of this event?" It says October 4th, 2024. And then it said, "Did you contact the police?" And he checked, "Why, yes, sir, I did. I did contact the police officers." And it says, "If yes, what instructions did you receive from the police?" Well, they said, "Nothing they could do." That's what they said in those terms exactly, like a caveman. And apparently, Whitney Clark witnessed me stating the words online. What is it? I don't even know. It doesn't even make sense. I can't even remember. Online harassment and stating lies. Now, Mr. Howitt also has cause to fear, apparently, by the utterance of his name on a Facebook post that I did not create whatsoever, that people were curious of who they were replying to. Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Like, it doesn't mean, like, I have a child with autism, and I use that word because it doesn't mean that. Yeah, man, I said those words. I just said those words, but I didn't. I said his name. I said his name. So somehow, like, some of those letters are the same, online harassment. I'm sure you could get a bit of Stephen Howitt in that. You know what I mean? Stating lies. Sure. A couple of the letters, the vowels and whatnot are the same, I guess. Um, yeah. Um, but because I did that, I caused him to fear not only for his spouse and his safety, but his child's. Like he's got apparently, he has a child now. Um, and the utterance of his name is enough to make him feel like his child is threatened. That's pretty rough when you're that much of a snowflake. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that really quickly because I know the video that I made this morning was pretty quick. They woke me up, so I just went to the door and recorded it, and I started my camera in portrait mode, um, and then I like rotated it over to film, so it was still in like the portrait whatever, and I just uploaded it really quickly, and I had some stuff to do this morning, so I didn't really get to explain it that well, but I kind of wanted to come on and do a little bit of an explanation, um, because this is like exactly, it is confusing, Brandon. Like it says by uttering the words, and it has the two dots. So that means like you would define like, okay, he did this by doing this because it says be as specific, like provide specific details regarding the events, such as who did what, when they did it, and where they did it. There's no specific details. You just made little bullet points and put online harassment and stating lies. Oh, for sure. For sure. And the fact is, I don't even think like when I called the detachment, they were like, "Oh, we're not," because I was like, "Man, can I like I want to file charges on this guy for slander. Like this guy's dragging my name through the court because all I did like all I did was fucking say his name on a post." Um, and they were like, "Oh, there's nothing we can do. You gotta go to the courthouse and file privately." But then they're willing to send their officers on our tax dollars, mine, yours, and the rest of ours, um, to give me paperwork at my door in the middle of the morning. Like, what are you doing, man? You guys need something better to do, is what they really need to do. And I guess for anybody watching, I don't know if any of you are really familiar with the Sandra Wall Chronicles. So she's a corporal here in Yarmouth. She's actually a part of the Yarmouth Police Advisory Board as well. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Oh, you want me to say your name, Mitchell Connors? You're, you're like the John Connors of auditing now. Um, I'm going to be meeting with Chris Boardman tomorrow about my complaint from when she smacked my phone out of my hand in August at the Congrès Parade here in Yarmouth. So that's taken 4 months just to meet with the guy for him to look at the video, and I've got like their code of conduct saved. I've got everything. Like I'm gonna bombard him with a bunch of information tomorrow, and basically feed him feed him the information on a platter, because it just seems like if you don't do that, like if you don't show that you know what you're talking about, they're just gonna sweep it under the rug, and you really gotta like push it to them. Like I'm gonna print out physical copies at the library tomorrow where I'm meeting him, and I'm gonna highlight sections so he can have them. Like I don't know what else I can do. Who cares? It's like at the end of the day, they definitely knew who it was. Oh man, I'm gonna now. If you guys all start sending peace bond orders to me, like I'm gonna get pissed, because I just a little caveat. Um, this I have to go to court 2 days after my fucking birthday, which is like I don't know. It's kind of a fun birthday present, I guess. I'll go to court for a birthday present and see Burl or whoever's working that day. Um, I'm not worried about it. Like I'm not worried about it. Like it's it's a joke. It is greasy. It's like, man, you guys are fucking with me. You guys are always doing stuff to try and like make me angry or whatever. Do it. See, that sucks, man. That sucks. Like going to court on your birthday sucks, or even around it. It's like a weird present that you get. You're like, oh, congratulations. You get to fucking chill in court all day and wait for them to call your name. Like, come on. Um, Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I was telling Winnipeg Cop Watch earlier that probably gonna make an application to try and film the actual hearing, even if it's just me. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. I'll wait all day. I'll wait to the end of the day until everybody else is gone. If there's other people there, if they're worried about privacy or whatever in the courtroom, but this guy's this guy's targeting me for something, and something I didn't even do. Like, and if you look at the post, there's other people that were like actually having crazy arguments with other people and like calling him out and like just being nuts. All I said was his name. I said Stephen Howard. That's it. That's all I said. And now I have to go to court on the 28th to defend myself against a peace bond because I said the words online harassment and stating lies, and then made Stephen Howard feel like I threatened his family and his wife and his kids. You ate the wrong edible. Yeah, that was the LSD one. And you should have. It's backwards day today, and you put it on the left hand side, but that was actually the right hand side. So happens to the best of us, man. Happened to me one time. So yeah, that's what's new with me. Just been kind of hanging out. Is that an actual fact, Brandon? Because if that's an actual fact, should we stay here and yeah, yeah. If that's an actual fact, we can stay here if you want to hang out, and we can do like a Brandon Mitchell got off fucking probation, like congratulatory shablamo. We could do like a got off probation party. That'd be pretty crazy, actually. Like it is like 1 o'clock where I'm at, but I'll hang out for something like that. I'm in the right spot. This is where I smoked my Weedles. Man, everybody in this fucking scene is the probation boys. I'm lucky. I got off probation a couple years ago, and haven't made it back on it yet. But I was on probation for like 5 years or something like that. But whatever. Yeah, Brandon, what are you doing? You got to do something for that. That's an exciting moment. Like, what are you talking about? You're getting off probation in 40 minutes, dude. That's crazy. What are you on probation for, Mitchell? I was on probation for breach of fucking conditions, and when I got out of jail, I was ordered probation for 2 years. Wow, of course you are. Of course. And then I like was a bit fucking half crazy back in the day, pissed off at people, and got in a couple fights and got on more probation and stuff. But wow. You know, I've never been arrested for my videos yet, which is kind of surprising. I'm kind of push around. Sandra's pushy. All the other ones are not too bad, but Sandra's fucked. Yeah, but Dan, you're old. You're old. I can't keep a straight face and say that. I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. Oh man, I'm really excited to talk to Chris Boardman tomorrow about Sandra and really like lay down the fucking law, like just really put it down and and just be like, this is what Sandra did. Like, look, it's unrefutable. Like you can't deny it. You can't say that this didn't happen. Like, here's a video that I took. Um, 38 on the 22nd. I'll be 32 on the 26th of January. Uh, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like my probation officers too. There's Ryan Gowdy, he was my first probation officer, and then there was Amanda. And Amanda was actually she was a jail guard when I was incarcerated here in Yarmouth. So I had like a previous relationship with her, and I'd always like press the button at night because I'd get bored and shit. And and just like talk to her about random stuff because just like fucking bored, man. Like getting locked down at like 9 o'clock till 7 in the morning. Like, um, it was just boring. I mean, we're the new gang. We're the new gang. Me and Brandon. Brandon still got years on me though. He was beating up kids on the playground when I was born. I don't know why, because we're talking about our age. I like the Beatles a lot. Um, Oh, you had unsupervised probation. See, we don't really have that in Canada, I don't think. I think you always have to report, whether it be like monthly or bi-monthly. I think provincially it's like at minimum you have to be there like every 2 months, and then you call in on like the other month, and then um, when I was on house arrest, my probation officer said, call me if you need anything. If I need to go to the store for a pack of zigzags, all I had to do was email him and go. See, that's decent. See, that's decent. When I was on it, um, they made me do fucking electronic monitoring. So I had an ankle bracelet, and I lived in like a big apartment building. Like it was a quite large apartment complex, and I got them, and I did maintenance in it. Like I wasn't lying. Like I told them I did maintenance for my landlord. So I got them to have like my entire fucking property on the boundaries. And then there were nights where it was like I lived right up the road from a store, and I had a it was like a 6 minute um like grace period where I could be outside of my zone, and as long as I made it back in, I wouldn't have anything. So I knew I could see the store door, and I could tell when it was like kind of busy or not busy, and I could run from my house into the store, buy a pack of smokes, and run back and make it into my zone before I would get like the alarms buzzing or whatever. So that was kind of cool, I guess. It wasn't cool being on house arrest, but it was cool that I could run to the store. Yeah, what I was saying is I'm a fan of the Beatles, and we've been talking about ages and stuff, and it reminds me of the song When I'm 64. Yeah, yeah. I've had friends that have said that, like, that they've just, like, fucking moved out of the area, and they just don't do anything about it because it takes longer for them to, like, catch up to you than it would for your probation to just fucking expire, and most times. Like, for them to, like, forward everything over and delegate all the information to the proper whatever and, like, get them to go through the courts to put you on probation again, it just takes too long. So they just give up on it. My my uncle monitor, so your ankle monitor, I assume, hooked up to the phone line to the house, so it only told me when I was on and off the property. And when the range was pretty far, I could walk across the street in the neighbor's backyard. Oh yeah, mine was like it knew where I was. Like when I called out, like I was in college at the time. It was my first year of college that I was still on. It was like the last little bit, like couple months there, I was on house arrest, and like I remember my battery died at school one time, and they like showed up to the college to be like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Man, my battery died. Like I don't know what's going on with it. I charged it last night, um, and whatever." But like there was times, and they could like talk to you through it. Like they all of a sudden it would just start beeping, and there would be a person talking to you in the middle of the night and being like, "Hey, what's going on?" Yeah, yeah. So I had two batteries. So I would put like I had this puck thing, and the puck I couldn't move it. I couldn't unplug it. And it had to be like as soon as I got home, I plugged it in, and then I had to tell them like I called a number. I don't remember if it was my probation officer or if it was like the company itself, but I called somebody and told them like it was plugged in, and then they asked me for like my name and stuff, and then they activated it, and that's when like the tether started, was when I got home. um it didn't start when they put it on me in the office. It started when I got home and I activated my base. But yeah, they gave me two batteries, so what I would do is I would charge one like while I was had the other one in, and as soon as it died, like when I got home, I would switch it out, and then at night I would switch it out again and keep doing it that way. But the batteries are pretty defective. I had one battery that was at like the end of its life cycle, so what I ended up doing was like I had to get it swapped out because it wouldn't hold the charge. Like they were supposed to hold the charge for like 8 hours or something like that, but this battery would die in like 20 minutes. And that was the battery that I wore to school that day, and found out about that. So I went and had it swapped out. But I was on house arrest for like, I think it was 9 months. Um, I was supposed to be notified. I was supposed to notify the courts when I was crossing state lines, but I live in Kansas and worked in Missouri. They got tired of me calling every day. Gave me a permanent pass to Missouri. See, there you go. That's how you do it. So a while back, um, I'm pretty sure I was still dealing with all this stuff that I ended up on house arrest for because it didn't go through court yet. But maybe not. Maybe I just got off and I was still on conditions and I wasn't allowed to leave the province. But I might have went and worked in Northern Ontario for a little bit in between court dates and kind of figured it out that I could work these weeks and fly home and make it to my court date and be like, "I'm here." And then as soon as I left the court, I knew, well, I was good for a couple of weeks at least. So I didn't breach my order. What are you talking about? I was in Nova Scotia the whole time. Yep.
I can't remember who ours was through. It was a company in the States though, I'm pretty sure. It was like an American company. And they were dicks. Every time they called, they were like, "What are you doing?" Like they yell at you every time. It's like I remember I remember I had a pair of like these weird pants that were like kind of tight around the ankles. And that was the pair of pants that they had put the fucking thing on. And when I got home, I was sitting there and trying to get these fucking pants off. And all of a sudden, they're calling me saying, "Oh, fucking, I'm trying to take my fucking ankle bracelet off because my pants are so tight around my ankles, I can't stretch it over the fucking monitor, which has a giant box on the side of it." So I ended up having to cut my pants off, and then the cops show up at my fucking door to make sure that I'm still wearing it. I'm standing there with an ankle bracelet on, no fucking pants. Pants are all cut up on the floor. Like, it was ridiculous. Hate those things. Hate them. But yeah, so on the 28th of January, I'll be going and contesting this ridiculous peace order or peace bond order. Oh yeah, and they just showed up. They're like, and they always freak out. They always think you're doing something crazy. Like you're literally there watching fucking a movie, and they're like, like shining flashlights in your windows and shit, and like banging on. It's like, dude, calm the fuck down. Like, what do you think I was doing? Like flying to Mexico to buy fucking drugs from fucking Jose Cuervo or whoever. Some like yeah. Oh yeah, nah. See, the cops around here aren't okay with me. They've always had a bit of a disdain for me because I'm outspoken and I call them dicks and stuff. So getting a little bit better, especially in the videos. Because it all depends on what they do to me. Oh yeah, 100%. The peace order or peace bond order is ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I get that, Mitchell. But like, I just really hope that obviously, like, there's no fucking way that the judge is gonna see it in Steve's favor. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I didn't do anything. I literally didn't do anything. So like, how can I be found guilty for something or placed on conditions for nothing? Um, so I'm not worried about it, but at the same time, like, there's always that like in the back of my mind, knowing that what the court system's like and having dealt with it in the past. I know that anything can happen in that place, and like, but all it is like the only thing that Steve can really do is oh, sorry, what Mitchell say? Bro, I went to court for a high-speed chase in possession of a stolen vehicle. The judge got me in front of the stand, and all I could say was, "I'm guilty." Hey man, sometimes that's the best thing to do. You know what I mean? It's like if you got caught red-handed, like sure, if you have a case, it's not always the worst thing to say you're not guilty and to go to trial. But sometimes there you go. Exactly, right? Like you owned up to yourself. Like it's fine to admit your mistakes. Especially in a court of law. Like when don't say anything to the police, but when you're in court, deal with it with that person. Like that person is a yeah, so like you had to be good for like what, a year or two or whatever, and it's not even on your record, right? Did you pass a conditional discharge? Um, yeah, perfect. Exactly. So like when it comes to the police, don't talk to the police, but when you get into court and you're on the stand, you know what I mean, and you're under oath, be honest because if you make lies, like that's what I was going to say about Steven, the only foot he has to stand on is if he brings falsified information because I didn't do anything. Um, but I have the hope that um I was past 100%. Okay. Um, I have the hope that the judge will see it in a favorable most or in the light most favorable for me because I haven't talked to the guy in 7 years. It's crazy, but it's kind of late here, you guys. I don't know if you guys want to hang out for much longer or if you guys want to crack on for the night and just wait for the video to come out tomorrow. They're just trying to burden you with BS, just to hassle you, my opinion. I completely agree. Like, that's the only reason that the RCMP decided that they wanted to present the order or whatever to me in person. Most judges can sniff out bullshit from a mile away. You should be fine. Unless Buddy is good friends with the judge, then you might be screwed. Nah, Steven's not in good standings in this town. He, I don't know if you were here when I explained that he had a building that he was doing renovations in, a very large brick building that used to be an old movie theater, and he was doing illegal renovations in it and made it structurally unsound to the point that it almost fell down onto Main Street of Yarmouth, which is our main like downtown district street. He was ordered to have it demolished, and by a certain date, he never did that. He moved out of town, and the taxpayers of Yarmouth had to pay $780,000 to a third-party contractor to have it taken down. So I'd be surprised if he even shows up, to be honest. But yeah, I completely agree, Brandon, that they're just trying to hassle me. It's just another thing. Like, why would they decide to show up? Just make the guy fucking do it himself. Like, are they gonna do that for me? Like, if I go and file a libel of slander against him because he's slandering my name through the courts? Um, yeah. Well, Brandon, you too, my guy. I don't know if I. Oh, okay, okay. Are you from here, Mitchell? Yeah, yeah. If you've heard of that building, like, look that up. I'll hang out for a little bit more, Brandon, especially since you're getting off probation here really shortly. Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's just, I don't know. Like I was saying to you, Chris doesn't like to be filmed, even though he's a cop. He's the investigator. So it's one of those things that it's like you take some and you give a little bit because I obviously want him to investigate Sandra because she's a fucking bitch. Um, okay, cool. Um, and I want her to investigate her fully. So maybe if I give him some of the benefit of the doubt, right, then it'll be different. But maybe if I'm gonna try to. I really want to. I don't think you guys will have a problem, honestly, with Boardman, other than the fact that like he works for an organization that isn't necessarily the best. Okay, yeah, yeah. I understand. I'm a carpenter by trade, so I get that. You hear stuff. Um, Yeah, I just don't want to deter him from like being like, okay, I just want to take this information and get out of here because I'm on camera. I'd rather have a conversation with him, and if that means just getting his voice and getting me and my information that I'm going to present to him, I'd be okay with that too, I guess. But I really do want to film him, and I think now with the different type of content that I have on my channel, like I'm not trying to get a got you oh, sweet, landscaping. That's a good fucking trade, man. My buddy does that and he really loves it. I'm terrible at it. Like I tried to help him out a couple years ago and I'm the worst whippersnipper in the entire world. Like give me a shovel, I'll dig a fucking hole, but like not good at it. And I don't have that eye to be like, you need a bush there. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah, I really want to and I'm gonna try to, and I think that with my most recent content and whatnot, I think that he shouldn't really have a problem with it. Like, I'm not trying to get him in anything or, you know what I mean? I just want to document it for the record and have it, just because, to be perfectly honest, I don't feel like the complaint's going to go anywhere as we have an organization that yeah, to a point. I guess yeah, I don't know. Am I an auditor? I don't know. Um, I think maybe it started off there, but I don't know if I'm that anymore. I don't know if I'm the atypical auditor. I think my content's turned into something else. Um, it still has police content, obviously, and I still want to gather that type of content in public officials, but it seems like my content has changed more to higher ranking public officials, I guess. Um, I don't know if that's, yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So it's like, Well, exactly. So I don't know. I struggle internally. Like me and Winnipeg Cop Watch, I've talked to him about it. I struggle internally that sometimes I feel like I'm getting away from the direction that I should be going, but he reminds me that I'm creating my own direction and I should keep going in that direction because it's a good direction to go and it's something that we need in our communities. Um, but I do sometimes think maybe I'm stepping away from the true meaning of what I'd like to be doing. But I like to do what I am doing, so am I really? I don't know. It's one of those fucking like questions for the mind, I guess. But like I said, that's just a an internal feeling that I have sometimes when it comes to my channel and like living in such a rural area that I do and the lack of content that I do have the ability to get no, exactly, exactly, and I do. I think I do a little bit of both, but it's as it comes for me because I'm very rural. Like I have about 8,000 people that live in my town total, and I've got like 20,000 or something that live in the entire county. Um, so the population density here is really low, and for me to there's no way for me to listen to an RCMP radio scanner and know where they're going. So when it comes to the police, you have to happen upon them. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Like it's you have to go in, and then what if you go into town and you just see cops driving around? Like what are you really gonna get? Like you have to happen upon these things, or they have to almost occur in front of you, and the likelihood of that is pretty low, I guess, in terms of like how likely is it that you're gonna witness a crime? When was the last time that you physically witnessed a crime? I can't remember the last time other than maybe like a traffic offense or something like that, that I witnessed like somebody run a stop sign or whatever, which is just an infraction. Will that work here? Like with RCMP federal channels? Because if that will work, I'll look at it because I from what I've known and what I've been told in the little bit of research that I've done, and not a ton, I've come to find out that their channels are encrypted. So you can't actually access them unless you have the encryption. Um, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a way to access it. Yeah, see, shit like that's bullshit. Like, and then turn them off on the other side of it, kind of thing, and slow right down and just keep going with the flow of traffic because they wanted their coffee or their Tim Hortons here in Canada or their Dunkin' Donuts down there in the States. Like, it's ridiculous. There's absolutely no need for these individuals who are supposed to be held to a higher standard of the law to break the law and just think that they're okay to get away with it. When you go on the app, it'll be in USA, but you can you select Canada, your province, your city, etc. Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. So you said what's it called again? You can listen to the public safety scanner on Broadcastify. Okay. Yeah. So it might be valuable to listen to. You might be able to find some things like some cross chatter, but I'll look into it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you hear the cross chatter of it. Um, yeah, it's so weird that did you know that police officers in Nova Scotia, anyways, I'm not sure about the states, but RCMP officers federally, nobody wants to come start your car, Dan. It's too fucking cold. Okay, you need a remote start. We've talked about this. You need to go to fucking CarQuest or something and get a remote starter. Um, in Nova Scotia, anyways, it's you know how you see cops drive around with no fucking seatbelt on all the time. They're only allowed to do that when they're transporting somebody. It says it right in their policies. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. I'll check that out after I'm done the stream. But it says specifically there's exact, very pinpoint circumstances and exigent circumstances that come along with them being allowed to um, violate the law or circumvent traffic laws, especially when it comes to distracted driving or exceeding the speed limit, not wearing the seatbelt, ignoring traffic signals. There's very, very specific situations where they can do that, and they seem to forget about that and just say, "Oh, we're exempt." But if you look into the law, their exemptions only go so far, right? They're not infinitely exempt by doing this. If that was the case, then you would just see a cop fly through every single stoplight because they're exempt, right? There's obviously a standard. There's obviously a an exception, but it's not all what's the word I'm trying to look for? It doesn't apply to every situation. It only applies to certain situations, obviously. Um, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like we're not allowed to have distracted driving, but they have a computer that they watch YouTube on in their cars while they drive. Like you're not allowed when you drive your vehicle on a newer vehicle if you have one. Your center console is most likely a touch screen, and it goes to like driving. Don't look at this. When you're driving, their computers don't do that. Exactly, exactly. Like there's a very specific guideline for those exemptions, right? And the law is written in a way that it's black and white. It doesn't leave much room for wiggle room, especially when it comes to certain laws that are tested, right? Obviously, there are laws that are vague and not tested in the court of law, but once they are, then they're simplified. Like the definitions and the terms and the meanings of them are very, very simple to understand if you're accustomed to reading that type of literature. But they seem to just they're so dumb and so deluded that they think that they can interpret things however they want. But in reality, the interpretation isn't up to me or you or as the viewer or the officer or the sergeant or any of them. It's the courts and the Supreme Courts who define these things. I haven't had a driver's license in almost 20 years, not because I'm a soft citizen, but because I just don't care. Man, so the reason I lost my driver's license is because during COVID, I was dealing with family court for my 7, almost 8-year-old, and the grandparents accused me of being mentally unstable, and they got a hold of the DMV and they told them that the judge had ordered me to do a mental health assessment. So the DMV put me on a mental health, whatever, driving suspension. And so I went to my doctor and I had my paperwork filled out because I'm not mentally unstable. It was just a claim. And then I had to pay for a road test and go take a road test because when you have a medical suspension, you have to go for a road test. Now, after paying for that, the DMV just so happened to close for a certain COVID-19. And in an essential field, being a carpenter, I'm not applicable for welfare. People that say that, like, I'm not even applicable for welfare. Like, I'm in an essential trade. I've had student loans. Like, I make too much. It's a funny thought, but either way, I couldn't get employment insurance because of my student loan at the time. I was in school. I had educational requirements. I had work placement requirements for my education to be able to go into second year. So I drove to work and back. And I got pulled over. Oh, no, to be or not to be. It's only while transporting prisoners. Um, so what was I getting at? I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, my driver's license. So I went to work and I went home and the same cop used to sit outside and just wait for me and pull me over and give me no insurance because my license was suspended and all this, that, and the other thing. Um, so after 6 times and $8,000 roughly in fines and just fines, actually, that didn't have anything to do with the tow fees and stuff like that and storage. But I gave up and I sold my car, and now I've been a vehicleless carpenter that owns a business for a couple years now, and it's very difficult. Why you redacting the messages, Dan? I saw what it said. Brandon, are you still here, Brandon? Exempt in the city and not. Are you saying that like the pizza couriers and police are exempt in the city, not on the highway? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, see, and that's what they do here. They're just fucking useless idiots that have nothing better to do, so they wait for the people that they feel like they can prey on. And that, Devin Dalma thought that that was me. Um, okay, maybe that is true. Maybe there is an exemption. But from what I read on their federal policies, the only exemption that they have federally when it comes to RCMP is when it's a transport of a prisoner. I'd have to look into that. I could send you potentially an email with that exact section in the next coming day or two, but I just have to look into it and read it again. Maybe I misread it or I'm misquoting it, but that what you were talking about, you did not qualify. I was just refreshing your memory. Oh yeah, I didn't qualify for any of that crap. Still don't, but yeah, no, I'm just saying when you say that, like, it makes me wonder, right, if I may be misquoting it, but I do remember stating that to somebody about policies. Was I had a conversation about that with an officer one time, and read it off their actual code of conduct. So I think, and there may be exceptions provincially, right? So maybe if we looked into the Nova Scotia Police Act or something, whatever that would be called, whatever that section would be called, I'm sure it's something similar to that. They might have external exceptions that they're allowed to do in the province of Nova Scotia if they're jurisdictionally policing here. But I'm unaware of that. I mostly look at their federal policies because those are overreaching. So that's just where I'm coming from there, I guess, when it comes to that. But um, it's interesting to look at that sort of thing, and I understand that there is a need and there is a time for those sorts of exemptions, right? Like, if you're there's a need for that, right? It can be justified, it can be articulated, so I'm sure nobody would realistically have that big of an issue with it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you do. Especially in a big city like Winnipeg, man, where like you have police, and the police up there, from an outsider looking in, uh, okay, really interesting. Interesting. Now I wonder if that's changed over the years or whatnot. Something definitely I want to look into and educate myself on a little bit more, because if there are some provincial exemptions or even municipal or bylaw exceptions like in different parts of the province, that'd be valuable to know. And it's something that I wouldn't mind knowing. So I'm definitely gonna look into that. But but yeah, Dan, like seeing them violate traffic laws all night, like from what I've heard as an outsider looking in, like not necessarily from your anecdotal evidence that you've given me, but from information that I've heard in the past, it seems like Winnipeg police officers are pretty brutal in general. So the fact that they're committing crimes and violating traffic laws isn't very surprising to me. Not in the least, because from what I've heard, the Winnipeg Police Service is not very honorable or ethical in the way that they operate. So, yeah, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. All right, so I wonder, is Brandon still here? Brandon's still here. What time we got? We all have to, whoever's in here, if you're in here when Brandon gets off house arrest in 2 minutes. 2 fucking minutes, this guy is a free man. Or probation, not house arrest. I'm gonna have to look into that. I really am. But I know strictly for the RCMP that federally they can only do it when they're transporting. They drive people outside the city limits on the regular on the top comment I get on my videos. Yeah, like the Starlight tours or whatever they call them. Like drive them out to rural butt fuck nowhere and like drop them off in the middle of the winter and like they used to do it like with no shoes and stuff like that and like a lot of people were dying. Uh, so I don't drink, but I'm gonna take a fucking fat bong toke here in about 1 minute for Mr. Brandon Mitchell getting off. This is cool. I don't even care. Like we got a few people in here. There's 5. It says 5 on my end. But yeah. Oh, it's super illegal for them to do. Well, you're not doing it alone, Brandon. Because we're all here with you, the Tri-County fam. Whether it be small tonight or large, we're gonna celebrate in our own little way for you, my guy, because this is a big moment for you. Just gonna wait for that sweet iPhone clock to tick over. 2 o'clock, buddy. Congratulations. 2 o'clock my time. He's a free man. You drove a shuttle from the HRM to Sydney? Nice. Now keep up the good work with your freedom. Alright, man, you keep filming those police. Don't let them bring you down. Fuck probation. That shit don't hurt. I'm really happy for you, though. I really am. Like, I might not be showing it, but I'm really excited for you. Like, that's really cool that we got to experience that with you, and I'm happy that it was me. I know it's a smaller stream, smaller channel here, but I really appreciate your viewership and the fact that you support a lot of us auditors. I see you a lot in streams in Canada as well as the comment section. I really wanna say thank you, and I'm going to add you as an admin to my channel. There's a rhythm with hunt sign. Yeah, this is really cool that we got to experience this with you, man. Thank you for being here. Like, I really appreciate you as a viewer and coming in and, you know, being open enough to even let us know. Hey, Kingpin. Hey, Kingpin, you're just coming in. You got to congratulate Brandon Mitchell here. He just got off probation 2 minutes ago, and we shared it with him. So I had a big old fat bong toke for him that I blew out. We got Winnipeg Cop Watch here smoking a big fatty. We got Mitchell Connors with his fatty ready to blaze up. Yeah, we're having a little celebration for the guy because that's really cool. And thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it. So I was kind of explaining. I know I'm about an hour in. I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but I was explaining a little bit about the peace bond notice that I received today, and about how it's ridiculous and how I uttered online harassment and stating lies. So after the stream's over, if you want to go back and check that out, feel free. It's just kind of talk. We've just been hanging out. Gonna stay for maybe a little bit longer. It's 2:03 in the morning where I'm at on this East Coast on Atlantic time. So I don't know how much longer I am gonna stay around for, but I'll hang out for a little bit longer. And tomorrow I'm going to speak with Reserve Constable Chris Boardman from the RCMP about my complaint involving Corporal Sandra Wall and her conduct on in August there at the Congrès parade, where she fucking smacked my phone out of my hand and assaulted me. So yeah, that's kind of what we were just going over, and then we were talking a little bit about, like, I kind of explained my involvement with Mr. Stephen Howitt, so you'll be able to see that as well. And talked a little bit more about kind of what I was going to do maybe tomorrow when filming. I might not film him, I may film him, it all depends on the tone, I guess. Oh, and another thing that I haven't really told you guys about is I talked to Tina Camo from Saltwire, which is like, if you're not from the Maritimes, you might not know what Saltwire is, but it's our local like written newspaper media, and she's working on a story about my trespass, and it should be done by the end of the week and published in their newspaper, so that should get a little bit more traction as well. And I'm still in talks with a few people about that, including talking a little bit with that'd be cool, man. That'd be cool, Brandon. Come on up. If you come this way, you're more than welcome to come and visit me and the family, and we can go out and we can get some lobster and some seafood. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, but you can eat all that you want, and we can explore the Maritimes a little bit if you end up making it down this way. I'm a little ways from Montreal, but I'd love to see you. But yeah, we were kind of just explaining a little bit about the video and stuff, so yeah. Yeah, oh, like I was saying, I've been in a little bit of talks with Nick Hilton, my MLA, about my trespass and how we're gonna deal with that and things like that. And I'm gonna be talking to him a bit more. It's actually kind of funny. I gotta go up to Kentville, which is like a 2-hour drive away from me, and I don't drive because, like I explained, my license situation before. So I asked Nick Hilton, my MLA, if he'll bring me. So on January 2nd, I'm going to take a whole day and just go hang out with Nick Hilton. I'm probably not going to record anything. I'm going to go get 3 of my wisdom teeth removed and probably die. So, the Commonwealth of Canada versus Canada. What does that say, 2B? What's that pertaining to, if you don't mind explaining briefly? Well, make it as detailed as you want. Yeah, Brandon, you're always welcome in these parts, my guy. And when you do get here, we'll actually like have a real sesh for you getting off probation and your birthday, because your birthday's coming up in a couple days, right? That's what you said? Like 4 days or something like that? 2 or 4 days? Yeah, and I'm gonna have 3 of them removed on the same day. It's gonna fucking suck. 3 impacted wisdom teeth. But I called this place in Kentville. And so my dentist in Yarmouth, like the only one that's willing to do wisdom teeth, wants to charge $750 a tooth, which is like, that's absurd. Like, come on, you fuckers. Like, I'm about ready to go buy some like 45-degree angle needle nose and like rip that bitch out. But the place in Coldbrook is going to take all 3 of them out for me, plus the initial appointment fee, for $55. Like, what the fuck? $55? Like, I'd ride a bicycle to save that amount of money. Like, what? It'll take me a day. It'll take me a day to get to fucking Colebrook on a bike, just chilling at fucking Tim Hortons or something. Okay. You want to send that to my email just to have so I can kind of review it at a later date, because sometimes it's hard when it comes to. Oh, thanks, Kingpin. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's why Nick's coming to get me. Oh no, that'd be even better if I biked up there. Think about it, coming back all crazy on anesthetic, just biking down the highway, fucking blood coming out of my face. It'd be awesome. Yeah, of course it's an unlawful rule. It's probably self-serving. Mm-hmm. Fuck it. My old clots, I'll be fucking dry socketing down the old 103 or whatever. I think it's the 103. It's the 101. I don't know. Laying on the side of the road crying. That would totally be me. That's my life, basically. It's just like, that's a good representation of my life. Just laying on the side of the road, blood clots falling out of my face, crying. Yeah, I'm worried. I'm like stressing out. I told my spouse today that I'm gonna probably quit smoking for at least a week. At least a week, like smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, any of it. Because dry socket and 3 wisdom teeth is gonna fucking suck. But I wonder what they're gonna give me for medication at the same time. Now I'm terrified. Terrified. Like the last time I got like I had one wisdom tooth taken out here in Yarmouth, a couple of years ago, and they called me in the fucking middle of a snowstorm because they had a cancellation. So I drove myself there. Yeah. Yeah. So I was just gonna say something about that, Dan. Um, I I drove there in a snowstorm, got them to rip the wisdom tooth out. They were like, "Oh, you can't smoke, spit, or drive." The first thing I do is spit like a giant glob of fucking blood on their deck. Oh, that's it. Just like a high end, just Tylenol or acetaminophen. Spit a giant glob of just like whatever. Oh, I can only imagine. On their deck, ripped out my pack of smokes, put a fucking cigarette in my mouth, lit it up, and walked to my car and drove myself home in a snowstorm. It was awesome. It was the funnest ride I've ever had home. Oh, dude, no bongs? I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna have to buy gummies or something. Actually, that's probably a fucking terrible idea too, gummies. Get all the gummy stuff caught in there and just like, oh yeah, I got a gummy bear caught in my fucking hole. But yeah, with that last one, I didn't get dry socket. It didn't even hurt actually. Like I didn't feel any pain and I didn't get any painkillers for it, but it was a top wisdom teeth and I'm gonna get 2 bottoms and 1 top. Yeah, that's the thing with bongs. So I buy extremely cheap bongs. This is like a fucking $40 bong from a gas station. So I don't know. This one's lasted me quite long because nobody fucks with it. Because it's just me. Swallowed it whole. What, the gauze? Or the tooth? Dude, a root canal just sounds terrible. 9 out of 19. 9 out of 19 fail, man. That's like almost 50%. That's like 50%. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Just swallow it whole. I don't know, my brain just went to like butt chugging weed oil, but no, not gonna happen. Um, the 9 out of 10 fail, sorry. That reminds me of 9 out of 10 dentists agree. Why is it always 9 out of 10? What happened to that other one? And how can 9 out of 10 dentists always agree that that's the toothpaste that you should use? Doesn't make sense. But yeah, and then from there, hopefully my fucking teeth won't hurt so much because they're just shifting because of my fucking wisdom teeth. It sucks. Yeah, it should be a good time. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll probably, maybe for you guys, we'll do like a on the ride home, Dryden's really high on whatever they gave me stream, and we'll try and talk to Nick about something stupid. Maybe we'll try and talk to him about the land use bylaws, because that'll be extremely interesting. Talking about land use bylaws, stoned as fuck from the dentist. Oh, caps are gross. Those fucking things, they still do that? Like cover your rotting tooth with a piece of metal to just seal it in? That's fucking gross. Like, I would rather them just take the tooth out. Like, okay. Go on the fucking metal mouth. Turn into a battery. I don't know, man. It's just the thought of it. It's just the thought of it. Like, I'd fucking cast away it. Thanks, Tubi. I'll check it out probably in the morning. A bit late now. But yeah, like, I would straight up cast away that shit before I was like, yeah, put a cap on it. No. Smash it out with a figure skate that I got out of a FedEx box that washed up on fucking shore, and Wilson can watch me do it. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be nuts. I think that could be like the funniest stream I've ever done. Cause like I do like to add a little bit of comedy to these. Like I'm not a serious person. Like I guess I am. Maybe I am. Am I a serious person? Fuck. When did that happen? Shit. Yeah, I think that could be a really funny stream to just be like fucked up talking about a land use bylaw. Like, what do you think about fucking multi-zone lots? Do you think that the municipality should be in charge of raising taxes and assessments, or do you think they should leave that to a third-party assessor? Could be good. The stream lost 2 views because of that rant, but that's fine. That's fine with me. You know, Tom Green's movie, Freddy Got Fingered? That shit only got popular like 10 years after it came out. Oh man, I've been smoking weed all day, buddy. Oh man, I'm worried that they're gonna have to do something like that because my back wisdom teeth, like they're like 70% out. So, like they're really hard to clean. They're really hard to clean, so I'm worried that they're gonna have issues with them. But they're the professionals. I'd rather be doing there. What? Dude, I'm like a chronic stoner. It's bad. But you live in the States, don't you? Yeah, you were saying you live in America. So do you live in a state that weed's legal or not? And then we got Winnipeg Cop Watch, like the connoisseur over here. The guy's like, I've got multiple strains of weed. How many? What type of weed? I have a regime. I love it though. It's fucking awesome. Oh, dude, that's what I'm saying. You got the regime. You got like the fucking setup. You're like, oh, I gotta smoke this joint in the morning. I got this one for the afternoon. I got this fucking strain. I gotta buy this specific stuff. Like you're the connoisseur. I just go to the liquor store and I'm like, give me the shit with the highest THC. I don't care if it's indica, sativa. I was gonna say sativa. Um, sativa, fucking hybrid, Mexican swag. Just fucking give it to me, all right? 1989. I wasn't even fucking born, Mitchell, when you started smoking weed. I remember the first time I ever smoked weed was on the top of a hill in one of those, you know what I mean by like a Christmas whistle pipe? It's like those metal pipes that have the top on it that looks like a train smokestack that make a little whistle. Um, I smoked out of one of those on the top of like a hill in Clare when I was like 15. Maybe younger, maybe like 14. In the middle of the night, in the rain and the fucking wind. And that was like the first experience. And then I came up with this thought, like we were driving back and it was nighttime and I was looking out the front window and I realized that the white lines and the yellow lines never touch. Ever. Fucking ever. And that the road that I was on here in rural Nova Scotia, I could stay on pave and I could make it to Mexico, all the way to Mexico, and I would never have to leave that sweet piece of tarmac. Just some weird thoughts that I had back then. Still think about them today. But now, getting back to a little bit like the legal conversation, I was looking the other day about just reading more into my town's public spaces bylaws, or public places bylaw, I guess they call it here. And I'm curious if in your guys' town, if your public places bylaw actually defines public places, because here it doesn't. I was quite surprised by that. It defines public parks, but it doesn't define public places. So I'm wondering if, as Tubi was stating earlier, that it's defined in I think it's called the CCOC, I think you said in Rexstream earlier today. Um, Something along those lines. That's where they define public property. I wonder if they're leaning on that more so than leaning on the public places bylaw that the municipality has made themselves. But irregardless, I think them not including in like a very long list of definitions, might I add, including some really arbitrary random shit, um, that they would uh, that they would include what defines a public place, like the public, not just a public park, but the only place that deals with something that's open to the public is a public park when it's defined. Um, so maybe they are leaning on the provincial definition of that, but I think they should also include that in their bylaws, because if they're talking to the public and making uh, acts or some sort of, I guess it's not law, it's a bylaw, so some sort of restriction, that they need to notify the individuals of what that restriction contains, and the definitions of all the relevant places and terms, and defining public property would be a relevant term to define, I guess, especially in the public spaces bylaw or public places, however it's worded. Um, and if you look at the land use bylaw as well, that has a bunch of definitions, and they don't define public places in that either. And that's land use, right? Like we're using the land for something. So is it a public park? Is it a public office? Is it an administration building that's owned by the federal government? Like, is it some sort of office building that's owned by a crown corporation? Like, um, we need to define these things And I think the fact that I am so rurally, or live so rurally rather, there's a lot less checks and balances when it comes to keeping these laws accountable, to, or these bylaws rather. They're not even laws. I keep calling them laws, but these restrictions, we'll call them that. These restrictions fall in line with not only provincial but federal and charter rights, and laws, I guess. So it would be provincial, federal, and laws, and then our charter rights, um, which it clearly they clearly don't understand what the public's rights are when it comes to public property in this town, and they've showed that multiple times, to me, especially with administration, and whether it be through my videos or Facebook posts that I've seen of theirs, or how they act when it comes to Facebook or other types of social media. Um, like Pam Mood has banned or blocked me rather from her official Facebook page where she's listed as a politician. So I can't redress my government to her there. She's blocked me um, on Instagram, her official Instagram as well, where she makes updates from the town as well. Not only that, I've been trespassed from my town hall until February, which, if you look at the Protection of Properties Act here in Nova Scotia, there's Section 10, which talks about people convicted in places generally open to the public. It states that a judge may make an order on an individual who is charged with this to restrict them for a period of not exceeding, I think it's 5 months, um, or 6 months rather. Um, and it seems like when they came and they issued me my official trespass, which restricted me for 5 months, um, that they put the cart before the horse, because it says a judge may. It doesn't say an officer of the law, a justice of the peace, and a judge. It says a judge may. So there may not even be any lawful right to actually restrict that person at all. Um, and then when you look at section 3 of that same document, which would be things that are like trespassable for, or that you can be asked to leave for, it talks about, you know, tree plantations and this, that, and the other thing. So none of which apply to me, and it actually has in it as well defenses, which include justification by law, which isn't verbatim, but it's basically what it says. So right there, I don't meet the standards, and it also states that there can be a fine associated with it up to $500. Now, when I look at the what is it? The public spaces bylaw, or the use of property bylaw that they cited for my trespass, that Adam Monroe and Jeff Gajou lied to the police officers and said that I was yelling and screaming and swearing at people in town hall before they asked me to leave. That's the reason they asked me to leave, even though on video they admit saying that they asked me to leave because I was causing a disturbance by recording. They never said anything about me hooting or hollering or yelling or swearing, because that never happened. Um, so they made this official trespass against me, but they 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 restricted me from town hall for 5 months without going in front of a judge or any due process. So right there, I don't meet the standards. And if you look at the bylaw for Yarmouth, I think that's what I was getting at before I kind of got a little bit sidetracked. Um, the bylaw for, it's like the use and enjoyment bylaw or whatever. I don't fit the criteria for that either. It doesn't make sense. They have a bylaw in this town that you can be trespassed for using abusive language. Um, Now, swearing isn't abusive language. They even define abusive language in another section of the bylaw. I can't remember offhand what section exactly it is. but in another portion of the bylaw, they actually talk about abusive language, um, and swearing isn't considered abusive language. It's not considered fighting words. It's not racially motivated. It's not a hate crime. It's another man's lyric is what it is. It's freedom of speech. So especially when we talk about government employees or elected officials, which all of those individuals in that building are, they're either elected by the people and paid for by the people, or they're employed by the people because they're employees of the town. Um, so none of them are outside of the public eye or have the right to privacy, especially when it comes to a public property. Now, I understand if they worked at Walmart and they asked me to leave, well, that's a private business. But we're talking about the Town Hall of Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, which is not a private business, which is not a business at all. Um, it may act as a crown corporation, but it it doesn't lessen its status as a public entity. Um, so for them to limit my free speech and to try and stifle freedom of speech is just an outright attack on the people. And like I was saying, being out in these far reaches, there's never any checks or balances, so we don't these individuals in power are allowed to um, continue with impunity because there's nobody to look at them. And that's why I think personally, and this is just my opinion, that's why I think Pam is so afraid of my camera, is because there's a lot of corruption in this town, and Pam is at the epicenter of it. She's been our mayor for quite some time now. Um, and she's a strong supporter of the Liberal campaign and the Liberal Party, as well as Justin Trudeau. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of self-serving policies and actions being taken part in behind closed doors when it comes to that area and that office. Um, it's unfortunate that she was reelected again, but that's how the town voted. And I think maybe next time it was eye-opening because only 44% of the town actually um, went out to vote. So hopefully next, and she only lost by like 100, or she only won by like 160 votes. So hopefully next election, municipal election, people will actually realize that it's important to go vote, and they'll vote, and we'll finally have a new mayor because it's time for a change in this town. They've tried to attack our free speech for years and years and years and years, and it's unacceptable. These rights are unalienable. They can't be taken from us. You were born with them. Your ancestors, your grandfathers, your fathers. Um, I guarantee you had some relative that fought for your freedoms, and it's a disgrace to them and their memories and their actions to allow these individuals to take our rights away. So yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting now. I've been on the stream for about an hour and a half. I'm not sure exactly who's still here or whatnot, but I just want to thank every one of you that came in today and anyone that's ever watched this in the future, that's going to be watching in the future, and anybody that ever watched any of my videos in the past that might be watching this as well. Thanks for coming to my channel, and I really appreciate all of you, and I hope that maybe you've learned something from my channel, and if not, maybe you will in the future if you stick around. But either way, I'm going to keep doing this for the record and to try and promote transparency and accountability in my town. So once again, thank you all, and I hope you all have a good night. And personally, I want to say, Brandon Mitchell, if you're still here, have a good one, man. Have a fucking good one. You deserve it. And Mitchell Connors, thank you for being here. Dan, thank you as always. 2B, we really appreciate your viewership. Kingpin, thanks for coming out and subscribing today. Who else we had in here? We had that commented anyways. There was probably people that were in here that didn't comment, and I want to say thank you to you guys as well. I know I saw April in here earlier. But it was mostly you guys talking to me tonight. So just want to say thank all of you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.